How you doing
Oh,
tonight?
I'm doing okay. We're live now, just so you know. Um, no,
Boom,
I'm
boom,
boom,
boom.
boom, as a learned man once said. Um, get Valiant 124. No, I'm doing good today. Had a rough leg day at the gym, but that's kind of how it goes. Um, I see we have a co-host again.
Yep, Arch is on with me. Doesn't want to be
Good
asleep,
time.
but that's
Sounds
okay.
something. Yeah,
He's good. He's a good third wheel.
I definitely agree.
He's quiet.
Um,
He keeps his opinions to himself, though. But that's okay.
Haven't done an episode for it's been a couple of weeks because there were no books last week.
Yep.
But right after we did that episode, there was that Valiant Classified that dropped. That was the picture that had a person that was just red, and it said when they see red, they're dead or something like that.
Yeah.
And my first instinct on that was that it was Savage, but I think there were a lot of better guesses than that.
Mine was Roku because of the fact that the red hair, the red hair kills a lot of times. Um, but I don't think there's any bad guesses. I mean, we never know. I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like the cool thing about like a lot of these teasers is that a lot of people are like, it's this, it's that. It's not like everybody thinks it's one thing, and I like that. Even with the other guesses, even when they're wrong, it's like it's cool that a lot of people see something different in the art, because it means we all have a different mindset. Um, we'll see what it is. I mean, for me, like my only real thought on that teaser is that if it is something with Roku, it's probably something Ninjak related. It's probably not Killers because it doesn't look like the art that accompanies that book. And so it makes me think like, is this something that's getting teased for this year that we don't know about yet? Like, we don't know about a Ninjak book because one's not currently being published. So are they looking to already come back at us with another Ninjak series? Is it something for next year possibly that they're teasing? Because if you think about this part, we still don't know anything about that previous teaser from a few months back where it was
Yeah.
like the Juan Jose Reap art. And there's like two figures that are covered, they're like blanked out. And my guess on it was that it's Galad and Tama, but we don't know, and we still don't have an answer on that either. So Valiant loves to play like this long haul of like making everybody wait like a long time to know what stuff is. So hopefully we get some answers soon on at least that one.
Yeah. No, I would definitely, I mean, I was going to bring up the same thing. We saw that one Jose Reap art a long time ago, and now we're getting more different art for something maybe related, maybe not, and we still don't know what it is. Because this could even be, a brand new character starring in a new series. It could be a character that's like a side character in a different series. Yeah, who
Well, and
knows?
if you think about this too, so like they had that teaser a few months back, and we were like, oh, we think it's these things. Everybody's like Archer and Armstrong, Savage, me with Galad and Tama, a lot of people with a lot of different thoughts, right? And then we got that tiny little blurb that showed like two space aliens, and then they're like, oh yeah, Paul Levitz is gonna bring back the Visitor, and it was like, oh okay, we got that verified. Well, come on, man. We're still waiting to hear back on this one, unless I missed it, unless I missed some kind of news. But I don't think I did. So what the hell, Valiant? Come on,
Yeah, just tell us everything right now, right
tell
away.
us everything right now.
Immediately. Don't tease us like this. We can't handle it. um, so we only have one book to get into. I don't know that there's a whole lot of other news or anything to talk about.
There's not.
So one thing I was going to mention, as a lot of people know, a lot of Valiant fans like to follow Valiant creators when they, um, make comics elsewhere. I've been a big fan of Justin Jordan ever since I first read his Shadow Man.
Mhm.
I think that was the first thing of his I read, maybe not. But that was definitely one of the first things that made me go, "Wow, this guy's an awesome writer." And he's written some amazing things since then, like Spread. I don't know how many people out there have read Spread, but if you haven't, definitely go pick it up. It starts out with Kyle Strom on art, but then actually John Bivens takes over, and he's from here in Minnesota, so that's pretty cool. Um, he's actually doing a new book with Elliot, our favorite
Yeah.
writer. But the thing that came out today was a new Justin Jordan book called Reaver, and I actually got to go to the comic shop and pick it up. And um, yeah, it's Justin Jordan. The art is Rebecca Isaacs, who I'm not familiar with, but the art is really, really solid.
I
And
was gonna say I saw some pages today from this, and it looks great. I mean, it's got a really good look. I didn't go to a shop, so I actually kind of spaced this one, so I don't have it ordered it or anything. But it looks like a way cool book, and I like Justin's work too. I'm trying to think if the first thing I read was Luther Strode or Shadow Man. Um, I remember just picking up like that first Luther Strode trade and just being blown away by it because it was such a cool concept. Tradmore's art helped too. He just had such a cool, different look than a lot of other guys. But Justin Jordan, he's a rad guy. I like buying at least the first issue of everything he writes, just because I do tend to like his work, and he's a way nice guy. So, what were your thoughts on this issue?
I honestly, so lately here, I've been becoming obsessed with Conan, and I'm just reading everything Conan, both comics wise and going into the original stories from the 1930s. And so I've been getting really into this whole sword and sorcery type genre, and Reaver really fits in with that. Like, it's got it's hard to explain. It basically, this issue sets up a group of people who have a task. So it's like a basic fantasy setup where you've got a group of people, like maybe in a role playing game, like you got a group of characters with different classes all coming together, and now they got a quest that they got to go on. And it's a really good setup, and I think all the characters are really, really interesting. It's definitely an adult book. It's brutal. Um, like, it starts out, man, people are just getting chopped in half, and uh, arms getting dislocated, or like, cut off and ripped off, and all kinds of it's brutal. And as a fan of that kind of stuff, like, because Justin Jordan also, like I was talking about with Spread, that's a really, really brutal horror book. And this isn't a horror book, but you can definitely tell, like, he's not afraid to get into nitty gritty. And to me, it just makes the issue, you know, have that dynamic. Like, it gets really, really intense, and then it'll pull off. You'll get character moments, and yeah, I think it's really, really well written. Like I said, I think the characters are really awesome, and the cool thing about it is that it's setting up its own world. And from one thing Justin Jordan posted was that this is actually slated right now as an ongoing, in that they have two arcs planned so far, but basically how much more there is depends on how the sales go, I'm sure. So. Um, I think that this is something where, with the world that he's creating, it could be really, really good. Like, it starts out as a really good start, but I think that if we get, you know, 3, 4, 5 arcs into this, it could be, one of those really good books like Saga, or I don't know, I can't, Black Hammer. I think that it could be creating a world that a lot of people are going to want to see. So definitely something that I recommend checking out. Obviously, it's not going to be for everybody, but definitely something that I think is worth checking out at the very least.
Yeah, and I think like going back to the sales on it, I think it'll probably be pretty good because I was looking on eBay and copies are already selling it over cover. So I think that a lot of people picked it up. Maybe it was something that was under ordered. I'm not sure. And I do know, like, when it comes to like image books, there's always that like that crowd of speculators who are like, we gotta buy the first issue, gotta buy at least one, even if I'm not gonna like it. You never know. But yeah, I did notice it was like going for a little bit more than cover, and I was like, shit, I didn't pick one up. So if I get a chance to step out this weekend, I'm definitely gonna look for it because it looks great. And I'm only basing it off of like the couple pages of art that I saw online, but it does have like a really good art style to it. But yeah, it's one I have to pick up. I got a book this week that was it's Valiant related, and but it's something different, something I've never read before. And I had a chance over the weekend to get the Legend of Zelda comic, the number one Valiant did way back before they were doing superhero books. And I don't collect any of that stuff. I've kind of stayed clear of like the video game tie-ins and the pasta tie-ins and the wrestling books because I don't think they look great. I mean, like not that the video game stuff, like Nintendo's pretty cool, but like I don't really have a desire to read wrestling comics, or at least, well, let me take it back. I don't have a desire to read like about like WWF in the '90s or like WCW in the '90s. I mean, like I know there's some comics that came out from Dark Horse in the last couple weeks. I think they were like wrestling related. There's a book I wanted to read that, but other than that, I don't have much of a type like a desire to read that stuff. So I had a chance to get Legend of Zelda 1 really cheap, and I was looking through it, and it's kind of cool, like it's some kind of little like short stories. There's two stories in the first issue. They both basically involve like Princess Zelda getting into trouble, and like Link has to go like save her ass the whole time. So I was like, they're kind of weak as far as like the story goes. But for the art of like back in those days, they were actually pretty decent. And I'm a bit of a Zelda fan. I don't like love Zelda like some people do. Like sometimes people will stop me. They see like my Zelda shirt, like, oh, I love Zelda so much. And I just think a lot of times I'm like, yeah, I like it, but my shirt's really comfortable. That's kind of why I own it. Like it's not like I just love those games. I just love everything about them. Like they're fun. And I haven't played the one on the Switch, so I can't even speak to that. But um, it's the kind of the sad thing about it though now is that after I read the first issue, I was like, I do want to get the rest of them, and I feel like now if I get the rest of them, I'm gonna probably end up getting like the Super Mario books and all that kind of stuff. And I want
The
to say that
macaroni books.
it's like super expensive or super rare, and it's like I don't even want to have to deal with that crap. One of the nice things about being a Valiant fan for me has been that I have all the superhero stuff already. I've had a complete universe of all those books for a few years, and it's been great to not have to look for them. So like now having that mindset of like, oh, I don't have any of these books, like it's kind of fun to have like something to look for again, like to go hunting for and looking for deals. But at the same time, it's like I just don't want to spend the time doing it. So,
Yeah, it
but
does. It does. It takes a lot of effort to do that.
the last thing I do want to say about it, and I was looking through it tonight, and I took a picture and I put it up on the Get Valiant Facebook page and on the Twitter page, is in the center of the comic is a nice fold out uh, map of like Hyrule from the game. So I thought that was really nice, kind of nice touch. And one thing that's also kind of cool about those books too is like it's just cool to see all the old ads for Valiant stuff back in those days, like in the early '90s. So definitely, it was definitely worth the couple dollars I paid for it.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've never gotten any of those. But now that we're actually talking about Valiant books, we can talk about the one that did come out this week.
Fallen World #3.
That is correct.
So since we do this thing on the day that books come out, just so you know, we do go into spoilers. So if you haven't read, step away for a minute, or if you don't care about spoilers, continue on.
Correctamundo. So just be warned. Um, so I'm I don't know how sold I am on the whole Bloodfather thing. I'm of two minds about it. On the one hand, I think it is actually really cool. I think it's a cool concept, and I think it makes sense, and I think that it creates some cool tension and stuff. Like it's a good villain. But on the other hand, I absolutely loved what Jeff Lemire had done with that Bloodshot character, and really would have liked to have seen some kind of continuation of that version of the character. Um, in a best of both worlds situation, Father would be purged from Bloodshot, and he could go back to being the 4002 Bloodshot I loved. Um, but even if not, it's whatever. I mean, it's a good thing that we have this new writer in Dan Abnett, coming into the Valiant universe for the first time and writing, writing these characters, taking some risks, changing things. That's what I like about the Valiant universe in general is that things can change. New things, unexpected things can happen, which is, you know, creates interesting stories and it doesn't become bland and repetitive. So I can't fault any, that. I just really liked the way the character was before.
Yeah.
Anyway,
But we don't know if like Bloodshot is gone for good in that
right.
time. I mean, we don't know how this ends. So I mean, there's always the possibility that something happens where father maybe he is separated somehow. I would hope, I mean, because I do like you were saying, like we've all been big fans of how Bloodshot has been done. Basically, like a head on a body of nanites. It was really cool. Um, it's definitely like a book that when I started reading this issue and they introduced like the animal people, I was like, oh, these are going to be the people that have to fight against like circadians, like little group of people, that because that guy and his little like zealots have all allied with Father, Blood Father, if you will. So I was like, okay, this is kind of going to be how the battle's going to play out, I guess. At least that's what I'm thinking, is that all the animal people that have been created, they're going to have to fight the fight. And I can't remember the main guy's name, the main elephant guy, but I liked how he talked because he did sound like a little bit like a. I felt like he did talk a little bit like how animal people talk in comics, where like their language is not perfect. They don't speak like perfect English, but he talked like a real. He talked a bit like a realistic person. The fact that he swore quite a bit,
Yeah.
I like that. Where I was just like, okay, he has really adapted to like how people talk, and so like a lot of that stuff's cool. I felt like it was great to see the Geomancer do something. Even if it's kind of a brief moment where we see that.
Here's my issue there, though. Why is War Mother and why are her people back in the Grove? Didn't we have an entire story about how they had to leave?
Man, you know what? It's been so long since I've read that miniseries. She left the Grove to go out and she fought those positronics.
Yeah, and then she
And
brought
she
all
came
of her
back to the
people
Grove
too.
and her evil kid, her evil little shit kid, was gonna like spill the beans on what was up.
Yeah.
And that's where that ended. So I don't know. We don't know anything else because the time between that miniseries and then where we're at now with the character kind of needs some explaining. You
It
know,
just, it just, I mean, I haven't read that War Mother series in a long time, but I thought I remembered them ending by all moving into that building, or maybe that building collapsed.
man, I cannot remember.
Oh,
And
shit. Now I got to remember. Now I got to go back and reread that. Damn it. No, that was a good series. So, Fred Van Lente, that he's always good. I don't remember who did the art for it, but I remember it being really good. Was that Girello?
I want to say it was Girillo, yeah.
Either way, that was a good book. But so that was the one thing that I thought maybe didn't quite fit because I thought I remembered them leaving the Grove. Maybe they went back. I don't remember how that ended, I guess, now that I'm thinking about it. But that was the only real gripe that I had with this book. And then what I said before about, my own personal preference for the way Bloodshot was before this 4002 Bloodshot. But other than that, I think that this is a really good book. It has a lot of different storylines going on. It's taking in a lot of different characters. And I think I've said this when every issue that we've talked about. I like that this is Fallen World and not Rye. Because, Kint and Crane gave us a Rye book. And then when they did that 4001 event, it was basically just, Rye blown up on a bigger scale. Whereas I think this is really Fallen World. This is this planet's story more so than it is a Rye story. And we still get
Yeah.
Rye. And he's still totally badass in this.
Yeah.
He's
I was gonna say, like, I love the fact that like Rye had to fight like a crocodile person and just beat the shit out of him.
Oh, and he did it like it was nothing too. He just
Yeah.
bop bop bop, you're done.
Yeah. No, like and I mean, for me, like I'm enjoying the story. I'm still not crazy about the art, but I don't want to like harp on it really because I just feel like I don't want to be too much of a broken record on it. I have to comment, at least make a comment, I guess, just because like it's my own way of being like transparent, like how I feel about the work that we're reading. But I mean, the art's okay, but I think the story is stronger, and kind of seeing how things are shaping up and seeing where like the pieces are being put. I kind of feel like a little bit like like there's going to be a big fight between these animal people and like circadian forces. Um, there's the little Rye kid. He's up to some crazy shit for Father too, which is cool. There's a lot of cool stuff in the story. Um, I I'm gonna say this, and I've said it before. I just hope that like as much as I'm enjoying this, I like this timeline so much. I just hope that we don't lose these characters for like 2 more years, 3 more years, while Valiant's like trying to make like a piece, like something else to put out for like the sixth book of the month. Like I just feel like it seems like people like this. Don't make people wait, like after the series is done. But I thought this was another strong issue. Um, and man, like Rye is just awesome. Like how you could just not keep putting Rye out there in some form or another is crazy to me. He's just such a rad character, and I think like my score on this is gonna probably be like, oh man, it's kind of hard because I hate doing like 0.25 scores, 0.75 scores. I'd probably go like a just to be like a good dude. I'm gonna go 4 on this because I do really like the story. Um, it may or may not be a little predictable to me. I don't know yet because we have to see how those things play out. But it's still way fun, man. And yeah, I like it.
So I guess I'm surprised that you scored it at a 4, honestly. Um, but to me, like, I really would love to see this as an ongoing. I don't think it's going to be. Well, I mean, we know that it's not, but I don't know that we can expect it to, come in installments like Divinity did even. Um, but I think that this is a book that has the possibility for some real longevity because it is a world book. It's not a one character book. But like you said, I mean, putting Rye on the stands is not a bad idea. I mean, as long as you have a decent story to tell, a good story, I think that he's a character that people are going to want to see. And like I said, because you've got the whole world around him, there's always going to be something interesting going on, and there are a lot of places to go for stories. Um, but I hope that we get more. For me, I know you mentioned that you're not the biggest fan of the art in this. I understand that, but what I will say is that while I have had some complaints about the last 2 issues, and there were definitely pages and panels that kind of took me out of the story, that didn't happen to me at all in this issue. I really feel like this issue was seamless. I felt like the art was really solid. It may not be my favorite style ever, but I think it works really well, and the fight scenes look really cool. Um, but but here's the thing. I feel like I have a better, like more positive outlook on this book than you, but I don't know that I can really score it much higher. I mean, like a 4.25, I think is the highest I would go on it, not because it's bad. I think that's a really good score. It's a really good book. It just, but yeah, so I'm just surprised that your score was as high as it was because I feel like I
I'm
like it.
basing mine on how much I like the writing, though. Which I
Sure.
mean, I'm enjoying it that much. Um,
I like the writing too, for sure. Definitely, it's a solid book. I hope Dan Abnett does more, and especially if he could keep doing more Fallen World stories, I'm there for it.
yeah, I hear you on that. And something from the chat. My shirt is not a Sting the Wrestler T-shirt. But I will say this, John. I was a big Sting fan. When I was a kid and watched wrestling, I was a big fan of the Man Called Sting. Man Called Sting. Yeah, he had an awesome theme song too. But
Really?
hell yeah, where's that episode where we just talk about wrestling? Maybe I need to buy the wrestling comics now.
Yeah. Oh man. No, that's not my thing. I mean, to each their own, obviously, but
You never went through like a phase as a kid where you liked wrestling?
like my dad bought me some Hulk Hogan like blankets, I think, or something, and I had like a Hulk Hogan backyard tent thing that I used one time. Um, and I think that was about the extent of it.
Holy shit, man! I feel like a lot of little boys like wrestling, and
See, here's the deal though. I was in wrestling, like I wrestled
yeah, you were a
from,
high school wrestler, right? Yeah,
yeah, well, no, I wrestled from kindergarten through into high school.
really?
Yeah. So from kindergarten on, wrestling was wrestling to me. And when somebody said there's wrestling on TV, and then I saw the wrestling that they were talking about on TV, that really didn't interest me because it wasn't actually wrestling. It wasn't wrestling.
Oh man, that's okay. That's cool though. We kind of just got off track, but wrestling was cool.
Yeah. Well, we got to
Now I
talk
don't
about
know. I haven't
wrestling
watched
some
wrestling in, like so long. Um, yeah.
wrestling. So the next week we've got Life and Death of Toyo Harada #5 coming out. Oh, the other thing that I wanted to mention this week is that Incursion came out. That trade came out. So anybody who didn't read Incursion, if you didn't get the issues, go out and get that book. It's actually a really, really good Galad and Thomas story. I think that when that pair is done right, it's amazingly good, and this is a perfect example of that.
I agree. We give it high scores. We are big fans of Incursion and Get Valiant. So definitely a fun story. It had a good cast. You got to see a little bit of like some other characters that got to shine in this, including Tama's demonic friend from the dead side. He showed up. Her big demon buddy. I can't remember his name or her name. I can't remember. But awesome story. So fun. Should be the kind of story that pays off a little bit in the long run too, because of the way it ends. We should feel the effects of it at some point. And also, it seems like Alex Packnadel, if that's how his name is pronounced, he seems like he had a really good time writing it. He talks about it a lot on Twitter. So if you like it, maybe tag that dude and let him know like how great that book is, because it is awesome. And I'd like to see him do more work for Valiant, him and Diggle, because I don't know exactly how much who wrote what with it, but it's such a fun story. And I feel like we get a lot of mini events, but this was like especially like if you read like Harbinger Wars 2 and you didn't feel it that much, I feel like Incursion would maybe like get you kind of pumped again on shit. So I don't know, pick it up. It's good stuff.
No, I totally agree. I think that Incursion is like if you look at stuff like the Valiant, Book of Death, there are a lot of these books that just kind of come out of nowhere and give you just a really awesome story that impacts the universe at large. I mean, Incursion was kind of as we've been talking about, a Galad and Thomas story, but Dr. Mirage was super awesome in it. Yeah, it was just a really badass book. Um, Oh, who's you're saying Shadow Man ended too early, and it definitely did. Diggle was really, really killing it on that book. That was such a solid book, and yeah, and then it just poof was gone. Um, but Incursion ended up being really good, even though it seemed like it was probably the way that it was originally built. It seemed like it was intended to be a Shadow Man thing, like it was supposed to come out of Shadow Man, but it didn't work that way, and it ended up being the book that we got. And I think that it still ended up being really, really good. Um,
Archer really liked it too. I'm just gonna throw that out there, Huh.
yeah, and he's discerning. He's got discerning taste in comic
He
books.
doesn't just like everything. Look, he's got a little thumbs up, little thumbs up. He's been
Oh
talking.
man.
He's been gabbing to me, so I know what he likes. Huh.
But as I said, speaking of things that I'm sure both you and Archer like, Life and Death #5 next week. That is the book that is coming out. We only get that one, but um, it has been such an amazing book. I think that one good point that was made is that it would have been really nice to get this Life and Death book right after Incursion, right after Imperium ended, because it is really just a continuation of what was going on in Imperium. But it's a really, really good book. The art has been absolutely phenomenal issue to issue. So I'm definitely excited to see what the next issue of Life and Death of Toya Harada holds for us.
Yeah, that book has been absolutely phenomenal, and I'm so excited for it. And you know what? It's raising the bar for like what's out there right now with Valiant. So it's, it's the best book I think that we're putting out right now. So
I think
not
that
you
it,
know, like I work for the fucking company, no, nothing like that. But like
yeah,
as a fan who reads all this stuff, it's like this is like our best book right now. So I'm very excited for it every month when it comes out.
yeah, I think it's an amazing book. I think that we've got a lot of good books right now, though. You know, I
Oh
think
yeah,
that
no. I'm not saying like the books are bad. I'm just saying like it's the book I'm the most excited to read every month right now.
sure, that's fair. But I will say that I'm pretty excited about what the lineup looks like right now. I mean, it sucks that so many things are about to end. I mean, obviously, we don't have much left of Punk Mambo. Fallen World is about to end. Life and Death of Toya Harada is coming to an end. I really hope Livewire continues for a long time. But when Bloodshot hits, that's going to be amazing, and I'm really excited to see what the new XO ends up being like as well. But
Yeah, we're gonna end this year strong, man. Fans, we're gonna have a lot of good stuff to read, hopefully.
Hoosier asks what's leading in sales, and Hoosier, you should know already. You don't come to this show for facts. You don't come
Uh,
here looking for real information. You come
well,
here
I know
to
that
hear
Punk
the
Mambo
demand.
was at one point, but man, I'm trying to think what it is. Like, I know like Livewire, I think so. Well, according to like Comicron, Livewire is like around like Livewire and Life and Death of Trevor are like around 5,000 copies each. So like as much as like I look at Life and Death of Trevor Harada as like this great thing, sales are just not there for some reason. And I feel like that's how Imperium was. I feel like that's how Harbinger was, where like they're just incredible books and like they just don't seem to sell. So it's weird. It's just a bizarre thing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know,
I would
man.
have known. I mean, you can find it on Valiant fans. There's usually a post that has all the information every month.
Yeah, come on, Hoosier. Go do your own research.
Hey,
No,
I just want to say that they were at Ace Comic Con, Hoosier and Chris Amundsen. I'm very
yeah,
excited to hear about their panel because they got to do a panel, and it just looked awesome. Like they had like a really cool like stage setup. And so when you get your oh bud, when you get all moved in, Hoosier, I'm waiting to hear about it.
yeah. I hope that went really well. I saw a couple
Archer,
of pictures from
Archer's
it.
starting to whine because he's waiting to hear about it too. So come on, man.
Yeah, let's hear about it. No, it looked like from the pictures I saw, it looked like it went well.
Yeah,
Hopefully we get to do some more of that, and hopefully we get to collaborate with them on some podcasts and stuff like that,
yeah.
which is always fun to do.
Hint, hint, hint.
Yeah, we'll do that again. But yeah, so Get Valiant 124, hanging out, talking about Fallen World. Like I said before, check out Reaver. Definitely something that I think that a lot of people will enjoy. Um, and next week we've got Life and Death number 5. Other than that, not. Hopefully, we'll be also be getting some more news soon. We got movie to look forward to, and hopefully finding out what some of these Valiant classifieds are. But
Yeah.
thanks everybody for hanging out with us. Thanks for everybody chatting with us. Obviously, giving Hoosier a bunch of shit in the chat, but also had Ryan Pond and David and people hanging out with us. We always appreciate that. But
Yeah.
uh, gonna get off and get off. Gonna get heading out and see you guys all next week when we talk about Toya Harada. Signing
We're
off.
gonna
I'm
log
Eric
off and get
Baumgartner.
off, and maybe not
Yeah,
even in order.
Jesus Christ. I'm Eric Baumgard.
I'm Josh Rathbun, and this is Archer. You're
That's
most.
Archer. And I hope you all have a great week. And I don't know. Let me know what you think about Bloodfather. Let's talk about
NWO Wolfpack for life.
it.